There's only one practice, and we forget it. I forget it. I'm going back into consciously practicing this practice. And it's optional. The main thing to remember, so you don't feel trapped, is that it's optional. It's optional. And it's how we play the game. Forgetting to be present is how we play the game. You can't be present and be playing the game at the same time. You can alternate between the two really fast. So it feels like you're doing both, but you're not. The only thing that imprisons anybody is their own mind and plans. Even fears, right? You could say, I'm afraid Spot the robot is going to multiply and he's going to take over my park. That's a fear. And then simultaneously, your mind will propose a solution. Generally speaking, the mind's solutions are fight or flight. That's what our minds do. Fight or flight. So if you're gonna stay in there with the robot dog, you have to fight it in the sense of not letting it intrude upon your peaceful park stay. You either have to figure out how to not let it intrude on you, which is probably nearly impossible, or you have to move away from it. And the fight, of course, can be done. You could take up the issue with the creator of the robot. You could go sue the company, or you could go talk to them. You could do any number of things. You could talk to your local congressman who allowed this thing to be patrolling the park in the first place. There are many different options if you choose the fight route. There are excessive amounts of options. It's almost impossible to determine which one you should try. If you choose the flight mode, then yes, you remove yourself from the situation, and usually this is the best option. Fighting doesn't, generally speaking, do a whole lot. Usually fighting something makes it stronger. That's conventional wisdom. Like the war on terror obviously increases terror. They are self-multiplying things. And if you give them attention, they grow. But it's always optional. 100% of the time, you can work on being present. Work on it. And observe. And you find out you will begin to be able to differentiate between what is so-called yours and what is the other. And also, meditation gives the existence as a larger totality. It gives it permission to sort you and your positioning with regard to all of the other beings and other physicality elements. The more present you are, the more you are handing the control panel over to the divine. Again, it's optional. It's not any. There's no game to be won. The game can be won. The ultimate game is the game between you, yourself, and you. And you could say God. It's between you, God. Everything is in the mind of God. All of it. Including the devil. And maybe God's in the mind of the devil also. Maybe it's fully flip-flopped. Maybe it's all perspectives at once. But my point is that these things outside of you, giving them energy, they don't have a life of their own. They don't. The observer effect and the observer requirement is absolute. It's 1,000% absolute. If you are not giving energy to the external, it doesn't exist. It's very hard to comprehend. It's very difficult to comprehend. But it's something that you find when you release the ego thing, when you release the false pretense to control within your own being, then you are then able to differentiate between what that felt like and what the space outside of that feels like. Things are still happening. You yourself are even making choices and decisions. Still. Whatever that means. But the feeling of it is a fully different flavor. The taste is a fully different flavor than when the ego self was pretending to be in control of anything. That's what the mind of God is. And it's yours. It's for you. It's not for anybody else. Nobody else. And that's how you explore. You explore by meditating, going fully into the core of the present, so it allows you to release your focusing on the particular. Because when you're focusing on the particular, you're releasing the whole totality of the rest of the universe, all of which is yours. So literally, when you're focusing on one certain thing, you're reducing the infinite multiverse down to one single thought, which is the object that you're focusing on. Now, how that's even possible is mind-boggling in the first place. How that's even possible, but that's what it is. So by zooming into the present moment, which seems like a one thing, it's not a one thing in any other sense than it's all things. That's the only way it's a one thing. When you zoom into the center core of that, you create space for everything to interact with you correctly, rather than your intention, which it looks out and it magnifies certain things and situations and people, places, anything that it looks at, it magnifies it and blows it out of proportion. The actual proportion, if you are blended with the harmonious whole totality of the universe, nothing is yelling. Not a single thing is calling for attention. And that's balance. That's peace. Total peace. The eye in the center of the tornado, the cyclone, the multiverse cyclone. Absolute, utter silence and stillness, with full knowledge of everything, full knowing. That's your actual spot. That's your correct spot to take. It's like your birthright. Your birthright is to claim that spot, rather than pretending that you are one of the hats that you've worn. I'm gonna take off now. Thanks for listening. Take care. Peace!